Welcome back to the Progress Over Perfection podcast, where we talk to real people about real things involving weight loss, nutrition, fitness, and mindset. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson, and the show is produced by Josh Toller. If you haven't already, go ahead and add us wherever you listen to podcasts or subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get weekly updates to the show. So welcome back to another episode where we dive deep into the real challenges of sticking to our health and nutrition goals, especially when life throws us curveballs. Today, we are talking about overcoming hurdles and building healthy habits in the midst of a busy life. Whether it's an unexpected change to our eating schedule, the temptation to end a fast early, or navigating high costs of eating healthy, we've all been there. In this episode, we're going to explore practical strategies to remain resilient, adaptable, and ensuring that our pursuit of health remains both sustainable and enjoyable no matter what life throws our way. As a reminder, this is a call-in style show. If you'd like to be a caller on the show, please fill out the form linked in the description and the show notes. Now, before we dive into overcoming hurdles, let's take a moment for a quick word from our sponsor. We'd like to thank today's sponsor, Premier Protein. If you've been following my journey for a while, you know how important it is for me to find simple and effective ways to get my protein in, especially with my busy lifestyle. That's where Premier Protein comes in. This isn't just any protein shake, it's been a game changer for me. I usually break my fast with one of these. Why? Well, it's packed with 30 grams of protein and it's low in sugar, making it the perfect first meal of the day for me. It keeps me full, fuels my muscle, and supports my recovery after workout. Plus, the taste, they're really good. I've always been a fan of their cafe latte flavor, but they've got a variety of options to suit any taste. It's like having a treat without the guilt. And for those of you who are always on the go like me, Premier Protein shakes are super convenient. Just grab one on your way out the door and you're set. So if you're looking to support your fitness goals and need a convenient, tasty way to up your protein intake, give Premier Protein a try. Trust me, your taste buds and your muscles will thank you. And remember, it's all about progress over perfection. The first hurdle that I want to talk about is overcoming that mental hurdle of guilt after a perceived setback. Especially if you are on a weight loss journey, the thing that I want to talk about is there are going to be days, it doesn't matter what your plan is, whether it's intermittent fasting or keto or low carb or Weight Watchers, whatever path you are following to lose weight, there are going to be times where you don't necessarily follow the plan. And one of the things that I have learned, having been somebody that has struggled with yo-yo dieting, is understanding, one, that setbacks are going to happen, and then two, what do we actually do to kind of move forward from them? So the first thing that I want to talk about is overcoming that mental hurdle of a setback. So for me, I am 37 years old right now. I want to live a long, healthy life. To think I'm going to live the rest of my life and not eat X, Y, or Z, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's key lime pie or pizza, to think that I'm going to live the rest of my life and not enjoy those things, or to think that I'm going to live the rest of my life and be able to fast every day or to not overeat, that is not going to happen. But when it does happen, the thing that I have found is it doesn't matter how much you overeat in any given day. That's not going to dictate where you are a year or two from now. What's going to do far more damage than the calories themselves is convincing yourself that it's going to derail your progress. So what do I mean? If you have a day where maybe you don't eat according to plan, you have some sweets that maybe you shouldn't have or should have passed on, or you eat more than you should have, you went back for second servings, the guilt from eating that additional food is going to do far more damage than the calories. Meaning the next day, if you're like, man, I shouldn't have eaten that stuff yesterday, what's the point of doing better today? That is what's going to mess you up. Understanding that we're going to have those days where we maybe don't follow the plan, but the next day or right afterwards, just getting back on plan. So that's the first thing, is don't let the guilt do more damage than the calories. Another thing, and another hurdle that we all kind of come across, is the hurdle of setting and trying to live up to unrealistic expectations. By setting achievable, realistic goals, it acknowledges that not everybody's journey is going to look the same. And I think sometimes we all set the highest possible goal and we set unrealistic goals. And then when we fall short of that, we get down on ourselves. And some of that could have been avoided if we had just been more realistic about what our goals are. So for me personally, that is one where I have set a goal of I want to be around and healthy and active well into my girls' adult lives. I can't tell you how many times I used to struggle with wanting a six pack or trying to be an elite performance athlete. And it's like, that's not my goal. If it was my goal, maybe I don't have the ability to be as flexible with my diet, or maybe I can't miss a workout. But if that's not the goal, then the things that you have to do to achieve what you are after, it becomes more realistic and more sustainable. So avoid that trap of setting unrealistic expectations. And then finally, you have to have a flexible approach. You can't be too rigid in your health and fitness routine. You got to have flexibility. That's how those goals are achieved over time, is because your real superpower is staying consistent for a long period of time. And the best way to stay consistent over a long period of time is understanding that life has seasons, and sometimes you need to slow down, speed up, but you need to be flexible in your plan. Don't be so rigid in your plan that the minute you make a decision that was outside of your plan, you set yourself up for that kind of feeling of what's the point in continuing on. The real way that we are going to achieve our weight loss goals and our health and fitness goals is staying consistent for a long period of time. With that being said, I'm super excited to bring on our first caller. We are going to have Aaron join us today. Aaron, really look forward to talking to you.
Thank you so much.
What question do you have today?
How you get past those days where, like, you break your fast early, or you do overeat, and then I guess it makes me feel like I failed myself, or I'm not disciplined enough to do this. Like, let's say I work out. Do I deserve to eat more that day? How do you deal with that? I guess the mental aspect of your brain telling you that you're doing something wrong, even though you're not.
So I love that. And I think, again, it ties in exactly with what we're talking about, like overcoming some of those hurdles, which when I give advice, I always kind of frame advice in a few different ways. Some of it is like high level, here's the mindset side of it. And I think that's kind of what we've talked about already today. But then there's also like that practical side, like that all sounds well and good. What does that look like in real life? And that's kind of what I'd love to share with you a little bit, is like, what does that look like? Like, how do we overcome those hurdles? And the first thing that I would say, like with a lot of things, we get better with reps, right? Like the more you do something, the better you get. So when you are embarking on a weight loss or a health and wellness journey, there are a lot of habits you have got to build, but there are some habits that you got to break. And that first habit you got to break is, and I recommend this to anybody that I work with, it's always a big one. It's waiting until Monday to start. So what is the practical tip there? Is if you have a trip up, one, you should reframe it, right? So like those things that we tell ourselves become true. So if you tell yourself you failed, well, those words have meaning, right? So let's work on that. Let's not say we failed. Let's say like I have stopped. I used to say it and I get better about it. Like I don't say I have cheat days anymore, because that's putting words and saying like it was bad. I say high calorie days, low calorie days. Now, that doesn't mean you should still have a bunch of high calorie days, but if I have a high calorie day, I didn't fail. Like to fail is to be out of the race. So that's one thing, like, is how we talk about it. But then the other one is when those moments happen, breaking that habit of waiting to restart until Monday. Because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're like, come Monday, I'm never going to have a high calorie day again. Or like for me, it's Little Debbie's, right? I used to love Little Debbie's. I ate them all the time. It was like, I'm never going to eat Little Debbie's again. To think that I'm going to go the rest of my life and never eat a Little Debbie is unrealistic. But if I tell myself that I'm never going to have it and then I have one, well, now I've quote unquote failed. All right, now starting Monday, I'm never going to have one again. If you tell yourself that, and it's Friday now, but if you tell yourself that, what do you do between now and Monday? Well, you eat extra Little Debbie's, because you've given yourself permission to starting Monday. It's never going to happen again, right? So it's like, if I'm never going to do it again starting on Monday, well, then you get that kind of Last Supper mentality. Like, but it's crazy, because how many times have you told yourself you're never going to do X, Y, or Z? And in that moment, you think you're not going to, but then if, like, let's be real, like, come on, you like, what do you struggle with? You think you're never going to do that again?
Yeah, it's like a split second. You're like, I'm never doing it again. And then like the minute you're like, you have like that one moment of weakness, you're like, I guess I'm back. Like,
so that's where we acknowledge that it is going to happen. Now, it can't happen all the time, and you want to, but that's my first bit of advice is like, don't wait until Monday to get started. Just start right there. That is a practical thing you can do. And then the other practical thing you can do, and this is going to sound silly, it's going to sound like a mindset thing, but I want you to kind of, inside of your mind, step back and have that conversation with yourself. Is having a 10,000 calorie day 1 year from now, is it going to affect where I'm at? It's impossible. Like, it can't.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely need it
over a long period of time, it will absolutely shake out. The only way a 10,000 calorie day is going to determine where you are a year from now is if at the end of that, you're like, I messed up yesterday. What's the point today? And now you have a 4,000 and like that. So the practical tip there is when you quote unquote step off plan, say, really ask yourself, like, is this going to affect where I am long-term? Now, it may affect where you are short-term, which is why I advocate against like setting, like, I need to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Cause now you've set a goal on yourself that nobody else set. And it's like, if you hadn't have said that, if you're looking to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, you can't afford a 10,000 calorie day. But then I go back to who set that goal.
And then you're typically putting yourself on some extreme diet to lose that weight. That's not going to be sustainable forever because you're just restricting on all the things that you actually enjoy eating just to like hit this number. And then you're back to square one once you have that, that first craving.
My practical tips are don't wait till Monday to start. Talk to yourself and assess. It goes back to like that goal setting thing. What is your goal? And then finally, like after you've done that, it's just repetition. The more you do it, it's still not perfect, right? I still have days where I struggle, but as long as I do those things consistently, do mostly good most of the time, and you're absolutely going to get where you want to go. It's literally by stopping. That's the only way you're not going to get there. If I move forward an inch, I'm that much closer to where I want to be.
Yeah, I think sometimes I get too rigid with my schedule, and then like gives me anxiety if I break it.
Exactly. And it's practice, right? Like there's seasons to life, and that goes back into what is the goal? Like, why am I being so hard on myself? And sometimes you do need to be, but then that's where I go back to say, what is the long-term goal? The long-term goal is to keep this up for a long time, which means I need to be enjoying what I'm doing day in and day out. Well, good stuff, man. Again, thanks for being on, and I really enjoyed talking with you, man.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Next up, we have Zach's going to be joining us.
Hey, Ryan. Good to see you.
Hey, what's good, man? What's good in your world?
One more month left of school, so it's a little surreal and crazy, but I'm excited for it.
So what's on your mind? What question do you have today?
Well, I'll give you a little background on my fitness journey. So I'm coming off of 7 years of college, and had a 1 year gap there during COVID. And during that time, I started the process of kind of a weight loss thing. And I managed to lose about 50 pounds in the span of a year and a half. And I think I've done a pretty good job in the past few years of keeping the weight off. I've gained about 15 pounds from my lowest. But I think a lot of that is muscle because I can feel myself getting stronger. But my concern now is that I'm going to be transitioning from the college life to a 9-to-5 work day. So one of the benefits of doing a weight loss during college is that you have a very flexible schedule. If you want to work out in the morning, you work out in the morning. If you want to work out in the evening, you can work out in the evening. But that's not so apparent with the 9-to-5. So just want to know what tips do you have for maintaining healthy habits during when working at 9-to-5?
No, man. So I love that question. I think this is absolutely one that I can speak from experience on because like you, when I was in college is when I first really started getting into fitness and nutrition. I was always a big kid growing up, and going to college. One, I absolutely had more freedom in my schedule, had free gym membership. I remember when I was a freshman at UCF, like I could eat in the cafeteria. I don't remember what it costs now, but it was like the unlimited meal plan. So you can go in and eat wherever, which means I could eat pretty healthy. I started reading Muscle Mags, all that to say, you do have a lot of freedom. And that is a period of life where life kind of can revolve around fitness, which is great. But then going into the Army, then I was able to stay mostly fit. I mean, stay really fit, but that's because it was part of the job. But then coming out of the Army, that's when I started working my white collar 9 to 5. I absolutely blew up. And what I would tell myself and the advice that I have is when you are transitioning those different phases of life, when it relates to health and fitness, understand that you just need to take a little bit of time to find your new routine. I think the thing that I struggled with is you are not going to be able to do what you did, but just because you can't do what you did doesn't mean you can't do something. That looks different for everybody, but one of the things that I think about, and I tell this all the time, is like when you are talking about working out, like how often are you working out now? Like how often are you getting to the gym in a given, let's call it in a given like 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks. I'm usually at about 3 to 4 times a week. And then usually I live in a pretty walkable city. So usually on Sunday, my girlfriend and I will walk to church and then walk to a little diner that we have lunch at, and then walk back. And that's usually about like 7 kilometers, 7-8 kilometer walk on a Sunday. So I don't work out that day because I count that long walk as my workout. Probably 3-4 times a week.
So I love that. And I think one of the things first, the fact, one, congratulations on kind of already having gone through a weight loss journey. That's incredible. And the good news is you've already been putting in consistent work over a period of time. And when it comes to your overall level of fitness, it does not take near as much time to maintain as it does to build. So, have a little bit of rest a little easy, knowing that like the work that you've already put in, you're gonna get to reap some of those benefits. So what does that look like? Is your schedule, you may not be able to work out as frequently, and that's okay. If you could only work out 2 times a year, but you did that consistently for over the year, that's 104 workouts. Not that many people are working out that much. People aren't working out a fraction of that frequently. So find your new routine and don't fall into the trap. And this is my advice coming from somebody who did it. Because I can't do what I did, I'm going to do nothing. That's really what you need to avoid is, okay, it may be reduced, but how can you continue to do something? Because then you're still moving the ball forward. You have already lost weight. You've already started building muscle. If you slow down your frequency, maybe you slow down the rate at which you lose and the rate at which you gain, but you're still moving in the right direction, right? The direction you're headed is more important. So that's one thing is like try to find your new routine, start slow and ramp up. There are some people, I work with some people that are working 9 to 5s and are still working out 5 to 6 days a week. They don't start there though. My recommendation is you start and then you build up. I want you working out more frequently when you are like, I want to work out more. There's a big difference between I want to work out more versus I have to. And it's that mindset shift that kind of makes a difference. So that's one is figure out your new routine and build up. And then when it comes to nutrition, that may need to change just as a result of your new activity level and things like that. And that's where I'd say find what works for you so that you are still maintaining your goals, but that you're still enjoying what you're eating. That's where I turn to intermittent fasting. That is a tool for me and a lot of busy dads that I work with is like, is intermittent fasting the best thing ever? No. But is it a tool that provides some flexibility so I can be a little more lenient on what I eat as long as I'm focusing on when I eat? That has been my method on the nutrition side of things, because you do have to find like what your new pattern looks like. So experiment, find what works for you, but don't resolve yourself to the fact that I can't do what I did before, because you can't, but it doesn't mean you can't do anything.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I actually started working out not to lose weight, but I actually started out working out because I was bored. And it actually wasn't related to COVID. I came back from a trip overseas, and the first week I came back, I was waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning because of the jet lag. And I just thought, well, I got nothing to do now for the next 6 hours, so I might as well try and get a workout in. And I found that it made me feel so good working out, like the rush of endorphins, and it calmed my anxiety, and it made me feel so good that I just kept going. And then I started noticing the pounds dropping off, and I just said, oh, geez, I better keep doing this.
No, I love that. And so for you, I'm going to change my advice up a little. I love that that's why you're working out. That is a huge, like when people say that, that is like, you're going to keep it up. So then I would say you experiment with different methods of working out that fit into your new life.
Yeah,
So maybe it's not the gym, maybe it is home workouts, or maybe it is like high intensity stuff, or maybe it's, I got guys that play pickleball. Like find the thing that how you can work out consistently. So the workout styles may change. Maybe the time doesn't. Maybe you're still working out 4 days a week, but now instead of going to the gym, it's you buy a kettlebell so you've got it at the house, so it's more convenient. Well, good stuff, man. Thanks for being on today. Really enjoyed talking with you, man.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, next up we have Mark. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on spring break now, so it's been a pretty relaxing week.
Oh, you can't beat that. Where are you at?
I'm home right now in Maryland, but I go to Duke.
Oh, good stuff, man. So what's on your mind? What's your question for today?
Yeah, so I'm a college student, and like you, eating healthy is a priority of mine. But I know it can get expensive, like ordering protein shakes, healthier options at restaurants. It can really add up. So what advice do you have for staying on an enjoyable diet while maintaining a somewhat reasonable budget?
Yeah, so I love this question. I think everybody is kind of in a different situation. I think the thing, again, I'm going to give you kind of high level, right? Like mindset kind of stuff, and then we'll kind of get into some practical. But the first thing to understand is I love that you asked, like, it's got to be enjoyable, right? Because if it's not enjoyable, then like the likelihood that you stick with it is like next to zero, right? Like you've got to enjoy what you're eating. And then the ways to go about it is not to say that you can't find things that you can enjoy things on a budget. So my recommendation would be to try different things at whatever fits your budget. It doesn't matter what the number is, but find something that fits within that budget. So protein shakes are a great example. I do a lot of ready-to-drink protein shakes. I typically buy them when they're on sale at Costco. Premier Protein, they sell it at Costco, and I don't know how often they go on sale, but when they go on sale, they come out to about $1.26 a shake. You know, even if I have 2 of those a day, that's $2.50 for 60 grams of protein. Now, for some people, that still may be cost prohibitive based off of how many you're buying. So then maybe we look at protein powders. So find what does fit in your budget and then try different brands to find the one that you like the most, whether that's some people will send you samples, things like that. The other thing to say is it's so important that you enjoy it, because if you're on a limited budget, the worst thing you can do is to spend the money and never use it. And I'll say that from experience too. Like I have 100% done that. Like when I was in college, I can't tell you how much people were saying like tuna is the way to go. And I went up and I found a great deal on tuna packets, and I bought a bunch of tuna packets and I threw them all away. And that was like with limited money. Like that was the biggest waste of money, because I bought something that, yeah, tuna is great protein, but if you're not going to eat it, then what good is it? Now, there are some people that can be like, you can prioritize taste, and it's like, I'm going to eat it regardless of what it tastes. And if that's you, great. But that is one thing to think about. So protein powder, get a protein powder that you still like, that you are going to drink on a consistent basis. And then finally, like when it comes to like your week, and when we mix sustainability in, find what's going to work better for you and your food budget. And there's 2 ways that you could approach it. You could either, 50, 60% of the time eat foods that maybe you don't enjoy as much, so that other 30% you can have the things that you really enjoy, or kind of find those things so that every day stays about the same, and you moderately enjoy everything, but it fits within your budget. So maybe there is a point where it's like, 3 days a week, I may eat the tuna and noodles and it's not that good, but it is super cheap, so that I can do like a Chipotle bowl with extra guac or whatever the case may be on Fridays, or, Pizza Friday, or whatever the case may be. Is that helpful?
Sure. Yeah. That's super helpful. Thank you.
One of the other things, again, this is just a practical tip when you are looking, the cost per serving is like important, because that's where, if you can buy in bulk or whatever the case may be, you can realize some cost savings there. Just make sure you're looking at that too.
Yeah. I know for me, Costco has been essential in college. So
Publix, I don't know, in Maryland, you probably don't have a Publix, but if I was on a budget, I would find those places that do the buy one, get one freeze. And during that period, whatever is BOGO, I'm going to find the thing that I like well enough. And that just may be on the rotation this week, right? Like whatever is on sale, like that's a majority of my budget. And then that kind of rotates through and I find the next thing that's on sale. I absolutely do that with protein, because every grocery store is going to have a different meat that's on sale that week. Most protein is equal. So then it's like, I'm not too picky about, I'm just going to buy whatever's on sale, and that's good enough. All right. Well, good stuff. Thanks for joining me, man.
thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us today. And as a reminder, if you have questions like these or would like to be on the show, please fill out the form listed in the description and the show notes. Next up, we have the portion of the show where we go to the comments section. Today's comment comes from a video where I shared a day of eating that didn't go as planned for me. Sheila said this. She said, "Another super video. I have my ups and downs, but your videos get me back on track. I don't let the bad days defeat me or define me." Thanks, Ryan. So I absolutely love that, Sheila. Thanks for, one, watching the videos, and two, for leaving that comment. That really does mean a lot for me. I started sharing these videos just as a way to kind of keep myself accountable, but the fact that so many people get something out of them, it really does mean the world to me. Overcoming hurdles isn't just about personal resilience. It's also about the strength we draw from those around us. Whether it's in person or through the screen, it's a reminder that even on the toughest days, small steps forward, supported by a community, can lead to big leaps on our health and wellness journey. Remember, it's not about avoiding the bad days, but finding ways to push through them, knowing that there's a community charging you on. Keep taking on those steps, no matter how small, and let's continue to support each other in turning those challenges into stepping stones towards our goals. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Progress Over Perfection podcast. Remember, we are not looking to lose weight fast. We are looking to lose weight forever. If you have a question or would like to be a caller on the show, check out the description. Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel for clips and shorts of the show, and add us wherever you listen to your podcast. Thanks again for the support, and we will see you next week.